Suspect arrested over the discovery of a suicide vest and other explosives from a house. Secretary of Defence said the discovery does not pose a threat to national security.
Government is committed to strengthen national security. Statement from the Secretary of Defence.
Is Nimal Siripala de Silva attempting to cross over to the UNP?
Court orders for the traditional lands in Ragamvela, Panama to be returned to the farmers.
Environmentalists question the objectives for constructing coal power plants that would harm the environment.
Hello, welcome and good evening. This is Primetime News on TV1 and Shakti TV. I am Shahan Rampati.
And I'm Bernadine Jai Singhal. Very good evening to you. In your top story this evening, a suicide vest and several other explosives were discovered in a house in Chavakacheri, Jaffna.
The owner of the house was eventually apprehended by police this evening.
A tip-off led a group of police officers to search a house in Maravanpalavu located in Chavakacheri, Jaffna early this morning. The search resulted in the discovery of a suicide vest, 4 claymore mines and 3 parcels containing about 12 kilograms of TNT explosives. In addition, 2 packets containing 100 rounds of 9mm pistol ammunition and 2 battery packs used to detonate side charges were discovered from the house. The owner of the house had fled during the police raid. Police said that he was arrested by officers of the Akkarayankulam police post in Kilinochchi while fleeing aboard a lorry this evening. An extensive investigation has been launched over the 30-year-old suspect. Police suspect that the explosives and other equipment may have been hidden away during the war.
There's a clear difference between national security and the discovery of certain material from a certain place. Material that were left unattended during the conflict are still being discovered. If one is saying that such a discovery poses a threat to national security, then one must need to consider the level of intelligence of that person. During the past 2 to 3 years, the police received reports of such things. If the police requires any assistance, the security forces will provide it.
Police discovered arms and ammunition from the Gaul, Unawatuna and LPT areas over the past few days, including today.
A number of illegal weapons and ammunition were discovered from a house in Unawatuna, Gaul. Police said that a pistol, a revolver, a 12-gauge shotgun, an air pistol, 65 bullets for a 9mm pistol and bullets for a 12-gauge shotgun were discovered. 2 persons from Unawatuna and Borlas Gamoa were arrested over the discovery. A suspect in the possession of a T-56 assault rifle and ammunition was arrested in the LPT area. The police said that the suspect was arrested while travelling in a car to sell the firearm and the cache of ammunition to another individual. The suspect is a 36-year-old resident of the Pitigala area. An individual suspected in the abduction and murder of Minuangara Pradesha Sabha member Indika Jayasinghe in 2011 was arrested in Balawata along with a firearm. The suspect was arrested based on a tip-off that the individual was in possession of an illegal firearm. The suspect is a 31-year-old resident of Kimbulpitia in Nigambo. While several crimes were reported during the recent past from various areas, many incidents on the possession of illegal firearms were also reported.
Yes, there are several unlicensed firearms. Recently, we gave an amnesty period for those who have unlicensed firearms in their possession to hand them over. And once they do, the government pays them a certain sum of money as well. But the price varies from one firearm to another. Yes, there are firearms. I won't deny it. And yes, there are such incidents. But I wouldn't say that there is an increase in such incidents.
The Secretary of Defence also elaborated on national security at this media briefing.
We have not in any way curtailed national security. The government is working on further strengthening national security. Issues have arisen over several lands. Some of the lands have not been returned to their original owners. There is also a program in place to protect the economic centres of the country by the security forces. The government hopes to grant them compensation that would benefit them. Around 3,700 lands in the Jaffna district were released. The lands will be handed over in a manner that would not undermine national security.
The Secretary of Defence also commented on high security zones.
There are no high security zones anymore. However, the signs that indicate of high security zones are still standing. There are several special places. We are monitoring the activities in those areas. The police, the intelligence service and the three armed forces are also aware of this. Since there are no high security zones, we only consider the landmass required for security.
Views were also expressed on ISIS.
We are concerned over the activity of the Islamic State group taking place elsewhere in the world. We are making estimates on how this would impact Sri Lanka. The government is in no way saying that we have no security from the Islamic State group, which claims to be an international terrorist organization. The government is capable of handling the security of the country. It has only been reported that family members, relatives and friends of those connected to that group are in Sri Lanka. We have not received any report which says that ISIS members are in Sri Lanka.
The case of the disappearance of 11 youth from Colombo during the previous government was taken up before the Fort Magistrates Court today.
The case was taken up before Colombo Fort Acting Magistrate Jayantha Dayasnanakara. A detective for the Criminal Investigations Department presented facts to court with a further report. The detective informed court that a security room at the Navy camp in Valisara had been sealed in line with the investigations and that steps were being taken to conduct further investigations. The aggrieved party requested court to inform the CID to expedite and conclude the investigations.
We have been requesting from court over a period of time to expedite the investigations. However, the acting magistrate granted a period of 1 month for a complete report to be produced. The order was made to the detective of the Criminal Investigations Department.
The case will be taken up again on the 18th of May.
Environmentalists say that despite the Minister of Power and Renewable Energy, Ranjit Siambalapitiya, making the objective clear, the negative impact caused by coal-powered power plants would obstruct the path towards achieving these goals. They claim that after the environment is destroyed, there would be no point in even thinking about renewable energy.
According to the project to increase thermal power generation under the Ceylon Electricity Board's long-term plan, 3 more coal-powered power plants are to be constructed. The first step was the 900 megawatts Norachole coal power plant, which is already in operation, while the next step would be the proposed Sampur coal power plant. According to Minister Ranjit Siambalapitiya, the second Sampur plant will be constructed with the New Energy and Industrial Technology Development Organization of Japan. The basic thermal plant design was prepared for 1,200 megawatts and it has been termed as high-efficiency and eco-friendly coal-fired thermal power plant. Thereby, a 2,600 megawatt coal power plant is to be constructed in Sri Lanka.
We should look at much better options that are available. Now, we do like to have all our energy resources coming from renewable sources, and that is the thrust of the 10-year plan of the Ministry of Power and Energy. It's unfortunate the Minister himself seems to be going away from that plan, because according to that one, by 2030, we should be practically 100% renewable. But if you install a Sampur power plant, which might be commissioned maybe in 2020, and Japanese plant certainly will take a few more years because it is still in the initial stages, so maybe in 2025. So after 5 years of operation, are we going to shut it down? Certainly not. So that means we are committing ourselves for 20-30 years of usage of coal and 20-30 years of accumulation of pollutants in the Sri Lankan environment. What is that going to do?
According to environmentalists, pursuing a coal-fired power plant rather than a natural gas fuel power plant, which is cost and time efficient, raises more issues.
To buy time for development of our own indigenous renewable resources, which does not have any of these problems, we have the option of looking at natural gas nowadays, because natural gas prices are very low at the moment in the world market, and moreover, we do have hope that we have natural gas in the Mana Basin. although it's not exploited at the moment, maybe in years to come we could do that one, so that if we spend our money and effort to install the infrastructure necessary for use of natural gas, eventually we'll be using our own gas, although it is not strictly renewable, but at least it will be our own indigenous energy. Now that's a very important factor you must take into consideration. And also there are other added advantages, because natural gas can also be used for transport, which is another source of very high pollution, which nobody talks about, particularly in Colombo. So that's a much better option. That will certainly buy us time for the CEB as well as for the other developers to overcome any real or perceived problems of using our very substantial, practically unlimited renewable resources.
Experts also say that claims made in the pre-feasibility study citing that natural gas-fueled power plants are at high cost is one that is misleading.
With today's prices, using power plant with natural gas is much cheaper than using coal, both in terms of the capital and also the fuel. Other factor is everyone knows that using natural gas, there is no sulfur dioxide emissions, no particulates, and also the carbon dioxide emission is also 50% of that of a coal power plant, giving the same energy. So it has all the benefits, whereas in the coal power plants, the environment and the people also get affected by these emissions. The cost-wise also, natural gas is today can be purchased at very low value.
The Sri Lanka Freedom Party convened a media briefing today.
At the Hyde Park rally, it was evident that none of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party speakers criticised President Maithripala Sirisena. They only criticised the United National Party. The conduct of the UMP government at some areas must be criticised. Therefore, the SLFP MPs who attended the Hyde Park Party rally followed the party code of conduct. This is the time where Mahinda Amravira, Welgamer, Dilan and Aluthgambage must take responsibility of the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. There needs to be a position for Faiza Mustafa and Siamala Pitya. That is the party that has been created. Those in the consensual government are also equal stakeholders of this party. Minister Dilan Pereira commented on the former leaders of the party. The issues arise when the personal rivalry between Chandrika Kumaratunga and Mahinda Rajapaksa is taken up within the Sri Lanka Freedom Party, Palamandalaya. President Maithripala Sirisena defeated Mahinda Rajapaksa. There is an attempt to resolve that personal rift. In reality, what should happen is, instead of them using the SLFP as a tool to justify their personal grievances, they should pay respect to the SLFP for all they have received from it. Views were also expressed with regard to the formation of the new party. Some are still working towards creating a new party. I noticed that a member of the party in Ratnapura had said that if it is proven that there will be billions in the bank accounts of Mahinda Rajapaksa, the joint opposition would be resolved. But he reminding them of the fact that there is such a matter, the BR and GR cult is making these things.
බයයි GR කල්ලියයි කියලා. ඉතින් BR කල්ලිය කට්ටිය අවශ්‍යනවා අර මතක් කරපන් එතකොට GR කල්ලිය එන එකක් නෑ.
Minister Nimasiripha De Silva was questioned as to whether he would join with the United National Party.
I have never given any thought to joining with the United National Party. I have never even dreamt of that. My political career is over 35 years and I will die while with the Sri Lanka Freedom Party. If I am not pleased of politics as a SLFPer, I would go home and never go to the UMP.
Leader of the National Unity Front, Azad Saleh, convened a media briefing today where he expressed the following views.
There is an individual by the name of Gotabaya. SP Dissanayake is working to bring this individual into the government. We said this to the government. You were elected to wipe out the Rajapaksa name. That was the agenda of you all. Back then, SP Dissanayake did not work for this. SP Dissanayake was granted a ministerial position not to bring in such thieves. It is said that Lakshman Kiriyalla is selling plots of lands in Hantane. It is said that the lands were acquired by the government in 2001. There are 56 advisors to his ministry. There needs to be a government that needs to look into this.
Leader of the Mahajana Eksat Peramuna, Dinesh Gunawardena, met with the representatives from the People's Action for Free and Fair Elections.
During the discussion, MP Dinesh Gunawardena and Patful had discussed on the postponement of the local government elections. After tomorrow, no matter what the government nor the Election Commission says, according to the law, the tenure of all local government bodies have come to an end. But they are constantly postponing this issue. We call for the elections to be held. They accepted the fundamental theory that elections should be held and stated that they are working towards triumphing this theory. After tomorrow, the Elections Commission must announce elections within 14 days. If they don't, the first question the joint opposition raises in Parliament would be as to why the Elections Commission was established. The issue raised on the part of the government is the fact that the demarcation process is yet to be concluded. I believe that the previous government must also be held responsible for that. The demarcation committee took over 2 years to complete this process. But given that they took 2 years, major allegations began to rise that justice was not meted out to certain areas and districts. Our stance is clear. The elections must be held immediately.
Today, the Pothuwil magistrate confirmed the right for those persons who had been reaping the benefits of the traditional farmlands in Panama, Ragambala to once again enter the lands and engage in farming activities. This area comes under the Lahugala Divisional Secretariat. This order was made after facts were taken up in court over the court injunction order obtained by the Panama police on the 27th and the application filed by a farmer from Ragambala challenging the court order. Today, it was confirmed in court that the Panama police had obtained this court order by presenting to court facts that are similar to the ones presented by the Pothuwil police in May 2009 when 7 farmers were arrested and produced in court. After the case was filed by the Pothuwil police, this was taken up for a period of 5 years. The case was closed with the release of 7 farmers in question. In addition, the complainant, the Lahugala police, who claimed that the lands belonging to the state, and the witness, the Lahugala Divisional Secretariat, failed to prove their claims in court. Thereby, it was decided that the lands in question belong to the farmers. The Chief Magistrate of Pothuwil and Additional District Judge M.I. Wahabdin instructed the farmers to operate in a manner that does not breach the peace and also warned the police to refrain from obstructing the farmers.
When we came out of courts after winning the case, which dragged for 5 years, the Divisional Secretary had handed over those lands to the Presidential Secretariat. We had no lands to return to despite winning the case. Such injustices are caused to the villagers. We believe that the Panama police and the Pothuwil police would refrain from harassing the people.
A woman who was arrested over an assault that took place during a demonstration staged by a group of past pupils from a leading school in Galle was remanded until the 8th of April. She was placed in remand custody following the order issued by Galle Chief Magistrate Nilipuli Lanka Pura. The assault took place over an incident where it was said that a demonstration was recorded via a mobile phone by another. Police informed court that several others involved in the incident are to be arrested.
The value of the rupee continues to depreciate against the dollar. According to the exchange rate issued by the central bank today, the selling price of a dollar was recorded at rupees 150.54.
Last year, the value of the rupee dropped by around 9%. The main reason for this downfall was that the central bank, who intervened to determine the value of the exchange rate, removed itself since the 4th of September. Economists point out that as exports in the past several years continue to increase and the import cost increasing is the main reason for this situation to arise.
The bank rated the selling price of the dollar between 145 to 146 rupees during the last week. However, today the bank rated it at 149 rupees. Thereby, it means that the rate has gone up by around 3 to 4 rupees in the last week. We believe that the dollar price is in a range between 150 to 151 rupees.
However, the depreciation of the rupee has created an advantageous position on foreign currency earners.
I didn't expect to receive a high price. However, I got a price of 149 rupees in exchange of a dollar.
However, the prices of essential food items, including imported goods, have increased, creating an adverse effect on prices of goods.
All goods that we have got will have to be sold at a high price. It is not only in Sri Lanka that the rate of the dollar has increased. This situation has increased all across the globe. There is a special mechanism put forward by the cabinet in order to face this challenge. The first step is to curtail our expenses and increase our exports. There is an issue between the demand and supply.
Minister of Plantations Navin Disanayak announced that the fertilizer subsidy would be granted for tea, rubber and coconuts as well. Speaking to reporters today, he said that the Ministry of Finance had allocated funds for this purpose.
The Association of Rubber Producing Countries, mainly the countries in Asia, they have taken a very strong position that there should be a floor price for rubber, and that floor price is agreed upon at about 250 rupees. We think this will come into implementation very soon, and when that happens, there will be the rubber prices will increase. As far as the tea prices are concerned, there has been a improved trend in the tea prices in the Colombo auction. Tea smallhold is getting the subsidy. I can confirm that to you. The government has allocated 2 billion rupees up to now for the tea, rubber and coconut sector, and we have asked for 14,000 rupees per hectare for the small tea smallholder. Treasury has proposed 12,000. There is a political effort to say that the government is not looking after the smallholder. That is not correct. We are giving the subsidy. We are moving forward. We are doing everything possible to protect the smallholder and the sectors, the tea, rubber and coconut sectors. I am very confident and uppish that we can take this forward.
Still in local news, a cache of explosives were found in the Ellupe Kaduwe area in Mana this evening. Police media spokesperson ASP Ruan Gunasekara said that the search of explosives which were dug up in the presence of Mana Magistrate AG Alex Raja included 4 explosives known by the name of Johnny Butters, 21 other explosives and 1 rocket-propelled grenade. He added that the explosives were disposed of with the assistance of the army and that further investigations into the matter will be conducted by the police.
The accommodation of the group that ventured into a cave in Karadagola Ravanayalla were targeted with projectiles last night by a certain group.
A group claiming to revive King Ravana ventured into this cave last morning. The group of 8 comprised of persons from several areas including Moratua. The group who cut short their journey into the cave said that they were compelled to do so due to a group of locals trailing them. They had returned to their accommodation where a group had attacked the premises and harassed them. They were then taken to the Vellavaya police last night, citing the fear for their security, and left the location this evening.
For 15 years, no man had set foot beyond the blue water pond. We found a pathway beyond that. We used a string to move ahead, citing our safety. Around 15 persons had followed us. After we went in around a kilometer, the journey becomes more tough. There is always a pathway that takes only 10 minutes.
We followed them because we did not trust their motives. This is not something wrong. We did not want to get caught. We only wanted to see what this was.
A group of students of the University of Kelaniya staged a protest march today.
The university students commenced their protest march from opposite the Kelaniya University. The students staged the protest, citing several matters which include the curtailment of student enrollments, hostel issues and infrastructure facilities. The students marched along Baseline Road and arrived at the University Grants Commission where Dematugada and Mardana and commenced a demonstration opposite its premises. The demonstration caused severe traffic congestion in the area. Thereafter, a group of students gathered for a discussion with officials of the University Grants Commission. The response we got for every issue which we presented was that there is nothing they could do. They keep passing the buck, saying it isn't relevant to the University Grants Commission. So we ask, why should there be a University Grants Commission? What they said was that there is a certain sense of frustration among the students on the internal selection process. Secondly, they raised an issue concerning the welfare of the university. So I said that we can look into that issue. University education is not public education. Any university can organize competitive courses. So we have no authority to intervene into the decision of the University Senate. The students voiced their objection once again and dispersed, stating that the discussions were unsuccessful.
The Sri Lankan cricket team returned to the island last night following a disastrous ICC World 2020.
Now, Sri Lanka, the reigning World T20 champions and the winners on 3 occasions, won only 1 match during this year's tournament.
When the Sri Lankan cricket team arrived last night, they were welcomed by a handful of SLC officials who were present at the Katunayake International Airport. However, hundreds of dancing, flag-waving Afghan fans gave a hero's welcome to their cricket team as they arrived home after a historic triumph over the mighty West Indies at the World T20, their only win in the tournament. Despite their losses when Sri Lanka were knocked out of the ICC World T20, President Maithripala Sirisena took to Twitter and said, quote, "Win or lose, always proud to watch the Sri Lankan boys play. We'll come back stronger next time," unquote. On Easter Sunday, Sri Lankan captain Angelo Matthews tweeted, quote, "Happy Easter everyone. Sorry we have let the whole country down. Boys tried real hard, but no excuses. Have a blessed Easter," unquote. Former captain Mahela Jayawardena tweeted in the following manner, saying, quote, "We both left the T20 team 2 years ago. Enough time to build a team and we can't play forever," unquote.
As sportsmen, we do not need to get discouraged by these. This is how it happens in our country. They support you in victory and desert you in defeat. We shouldn't be demotivated by this. However, I am disappointed. The current administrators, as well as those planning on becoming administrators who come forward in order to fix the sport and take cricket forward, use their powers and claim positions. However, at the most desperate of times, they are not there. I am disappointed about this. From this we can see that the current administrators as well as the future ones have no interest in developing the game of cricket in the country. Well, chasing 154 runs to win, England was 74 runs for no loss at the end of 7-0. And with that, we wrap up tonight's edition of Primetime News. It's an absolute pleasure having you with us. For the News First team, I am Shahin Jurangpati.
And I'm Bernadine Jayasinghe. Good night and take care.
Well, before we wrap up, actually, we leave you tonight with footage of the US 7th Fleet flagship USS Blue Ridge, the oldest steamship of the US Navy, which is currently docked at the Colombo port. Good night.